Konnichiwa, I'm Logan Charlesina, and this video is going to be a review of Book 4 of Infinity Train. And yes, Infinity Train has been cancelled. So this is somewhat the final season of Infinity Train. And it was definitely ended prematurely. I know that the creators wanted 8 seasons of Infinity Train since the infinity symbol is just a sideways 8. And they thought it'd be a fitting way to end things off with that. And they actually wrote all of season 5, which might have been a movie. And for book 5, it's just not ever going to get made, unless people give this show the Snyder Cut treatment and annoy the hell out of this network and company again to make this happen. And that's one of the first things I really just kind of want to talk about. So Warner Brothers especially, and this might sound a little bitter from my end since I worked with them a lot and none of my stuff ever got finished. And most of the time, Warner Brothers just treated me like an assistant and a ghostwriter. Like, I never actually got a check from Warner Brothers. I always got paid in cash, which sounds dodgy, honestly, and kind of was. One time a guy literally gave me an envelope full of money. It was weird. But yeah. So I kind of have like this personal grudge. It's not really a grudge though, because it's not something that's just limited to my experience working with these people, because it's happened to so many other people. And any Snyder bro will tell you that studio interference is the most annoying shit for any creative mind or any visionary kind of method to go against. So with Infinity Train, this book 4, centered around the past, and it centered around Ryan and Mingi. So Ryan and Mingi were two lifelong friends from Canada whose parents treated them very differently. Ryan was the youngest sibling of a large family, and Mingi was the only son. So Mingi's family focused more on taking time with him and making sure that he followed a roadmap to his future, while Ryan's parents basically didn't care about him. He was the burnout, the lost cause of the family, the black sheep. And Ryan's family kind of didn't really care what he was doing with his life. Hence, Ryan had more freedom to break away from the traditional overbearing parents trope where they want to control every little aspect of your life and your future, and they want you to succeed so that they succeed, kind of thing. And Mingi wasn't too sure about that. Mingi had doubts, but also Mingi had doubts with his dream of pursuing a rock band or a duet group a la Daft Punk with Ryan. Mainly because he didn't trust Ryan. Ryan was very immature and impulsive, and Ryan was fearless, but he didn't think anything out. He just acted. Whereas Mingi mainly reacted to situations. Mingi mainly did what he was told and did what was expected of him. So on their big day of performing at the talent show to prove to their parents that they're going to make this work, Mingi actually runs away. Like, he literally runs away from the talent show and leaves Ryan hanging. In the first episode, you see both of their tapes and how they're connected with each other. And you see how Ryan goes out and really tries his best to become a rock star, while Mingi has sort of fallen into place and is going with the flow and going with his parents' plan of how he should live his life. He even got a job working at a Humpty Dumpty themed diner. Now, once they meet up again after a few months, or maybe it's been a year, but Mingi's going to university, or uni, and Ryan has a show in New York, and he wants Mingi to go with him because Ryan feels that everything fell apart the day that they stopped being a band together. So he coerces Mingi to get on a train, and they're going to New York until a portal shows up. And this portal takes them onto the Infinity Train because Ryan throws the keys to the diner through the portal, so they both have to go through the portal to go with the keys. And that shows you how one, before he was brain scrambled and turned into one, selected how and where the passengers were going. And you can see Emilia on the ship. Well, it's not like a spaceship, but it's like a spaceship, but it's a train. So Emilia's on the train now. You see her and One were sort of working together. And you see this is where Emilia starts to get the idea to overthrow One and create her life with Auric again. Obviously, that didn't work. And throughout the train, you kind of get a more back to basics experience. It's more of what happened in book 1 and a lot less of what happened in the other books, because this is literally going back in time and going to the time where Emilia took over the train, but they're showing you how the train used to run, which was loosely based on how Tulip ran the train without the interference of Emilia, until the halfway point where Emilia does interfere because she's taken over the train and she gives the belongings back to the passengers, and she just hijacks the steward altogether and doesn't really care about any of the other passengers. So once Ryan and Mingi figure out that it's not just one of them who's been chosen to be on this train, both of them were chosen to be on the train, and they have to figure out their path together. They realize their shortcomings, they take their number down to 0, and they go through the portal. Somewhat of a happy ending. And then their band, Chicken Choice Judy, gets to perform in New York, and they have a fresh new start. And they have a killer song from the experience that they had with Train to Nowhere. All in all, it was a really solid season. And with Infinity Train, it's a really good show, and I really don't have any season that would be considered a weak season. Pretty much they've just been getting better and better, and this season was definitely sort of a restart to get you ready for something major that was going to happen with book 5. But now we won't know because book 5 is on the shelf. And the creator Owen Dennis has actually said something that's very real to most situations, where nowadays you don't really get canceled. You get indefinite hiatus. You get put on the shelf. You get killed, but you don't get canceled. Because cancellation used to be referred to as a big kind of stigma with studios and networks, because if they ever canceled something, they're basically taking responsibility for the fact that the show is no longer on the air. They're saying that whatever reason they have is a personal reason, that they no longer want the show to air. So with Infinity Train and many other series that have ended, now they no longer use the term canceled. That's what other media outlets and news networks use. But yeah, they'll call it whatever they want, but Rose by any other name is the same thing. So yeah, now they're taking a more corporate approach to everything about terms of IP, because that's really what anyone is focusing on right now during the streaming wars. And adult animation has really taken a back seat over a number of years. And in somewhat to blame is the massive success of The Simpsons, because studios, networks, executives all did the same thing, and they just like to rest on their laurels and do the safe bet. So that's why most Western animation and adult animation, especially, has a similar round eye style to their characters and protagonists, because it's familiar. It looks like The Simpsons, and that's the safe bet. So when shows like Infinity Train or Venture Brothers or any other type of series with a different, unique art style that really brings out something special in storytelling, like Avatar: The Last Airbender and other shows of that nature, yes, even Legend of Korra, it just really kind of feels like you're defeated. And that's why people have kind of embraced more openly anime and manga, because there is not a specific style. There's varying styles and genres and storytelling format for anime and manga. And because of that, that's why Netflix is trying to eat up all the anime and all the really cool animes in Netflix jail, because it's geo-locked specifically to release here once it's all finished and it's done airing in Japan. Netflix isn't really big on simulcasting because they want people to search and trend whatever show they acquired while it's on Netflix, because they're not sure if people are just going to drop off on the show and then pirate it and then, unsubscribe to their Netflix account. So they want those people to stay. And if those people like that anime, they suggest them other anime. And if they don't like anime, they'll suggest K-dramas and other stuff that will entice them to stick around and keep paying their subscription. Alright, I'm just going to end the video here, kind of turned off into like a rant about my old job. And like recently, I quit my part-time job because I really did want to focus on my art. I want to focus on my own projects, and it sucks because definitely it's somewhat terrifying not having a stable source of income and just kind of living sort of paycheck to paycheck on these things. But I'm gonna make it work. I'm not gonna give up. And yes, the corporate bullshit and the annoying executives who get replaced every other week. I'm serious. Like, while I was at Warner Brothers, I had no idea who my boss was. I literally, gun to my head, I couldn't tell you the person's name, because literally they would just replace them with someone else and give that other person a new title and act like it's a different thing, but no, it's the exact same job. And right now, AT&T is making some really rash, stupid decisions with HBO Max as a whole, because Infinity Train was a great streaming service show. It was made basically for streaming before they had this streaming service. And they could have kept it going on HBO Max, but they decided to shit can it because it wasn't grabbing on to the audience that they wanted. And this is Cartoon Network's problem as a whole, where Cartoon Network has sacrificed and given up so many great ideas and so many different innovative things in animation to pander to little kids. And I don't mean like small children, I mean like actual little kids who aren't even watching Cartoon Network, because they're watching like Disney Junior and Nick Jr. and all that other stuff. they're pandering to the little kids who used to watch Dora the Explorer and Blue's Clues and all that. But they don't really understand that most of their demographic has been with them for a very long time. Cartoon Network has had people who've watched and grown up with their shows. So that's how shows like Adventure Time and Regular Show were able to become a thing and become so popular and huge namesakes of the network, because they kept around the teenage and college audience that they still had. And once they started just pandering to a younger audience because they want to hook that young audience and keep them around for decades, they're just pushing away, for one, like parents. Like literally, when my kid and I used to watch Cartoon Network, Steven Universe was like a shining light. It was not my favorite show, especially at the time. Like I was really into other stuff, JoJo's, but I liked watching it with my kid, and she loved Steven Universe. Like absolutely loved it. It was her favorite show ever. And the fact that they're not trying to make another Steven Universe. They've literally rebooted Ben 10 yet another time and have just made it fall in line to the cute pandering art style that's just kind of felt flat on a lot of people. And this is kind of what happened like when Family Guy and all the other shows came out after The Simpsons. It all looks the same. It all looks like the same show. If any of these characters did a crossover, you wouldn't know that they're a different character from a different show. You would think that they've always been there. And that's why it was really funny just seeing the crossover event between Family Guy and The Simpsons, and I think American Dad, because literally, other than the fact that The Simpsons are yellow, they all look like they were the same characters from the same show. Alright, so that's it. It sucks that Infinity Train is gone for now, but maybe we can annoy and just frustrate corporations to bring it back, because apparently that's their new business model. They want consumers to angrily shake at them to give them the thing that they want. Because that's what seems to happen. That's what happened with the Sonic movie. The Sonic movie, any other year before that moment, the studio would have literally told everyone to shut the fuck up and enjoy it. And enjoy the creepy CGI Sonic that looks like a human hybrid. But no, fans were so frustrated and annoyed, they bullied a company into fixing their shit. And they actually made a pretty decent Sonic movie. And then with the Snyder Cut wasn't like a thing. The Snyder Cut was basically a director's cut of the Justice League movie made by Zack Snyder. But because of the promises and the unfulfilled, lackluster version that audiences got, the Snyder Cut grew as this mythology, like this huge legend and myth that it's out there, it exists, a better version of the movie. Not a good movie, just a better version of the crappy movie that the studio pumped out. And people bullied the fuck out of Warner Brothers for years until they finally gave up and relented, gave Zack Snyder a shit ton of money to do reshoots and to clean stuff up and to add new stuff in there. And he made a 4-hour clusterfuck that is way better than the Joss Whedon version of Justice League, but it still falls flat and it falls apart when you realize that none of this matters. The Snyder Cut doesn't matter. They're obviously going into a different direction, especially because Warner Brothers has fucked over half of the actors in Justice League. So you can't really continue on the universe if you're just doing half of the team. And when they showed the new slate and the new lineup and they got rid of New Gods, it's showing you that Warner Brothers really doesn't know what they're doing. They're playing this one by ear, making it up as they go along. And that's how Marvel started. Marvel started out like that. We're going to make Iron Man and we're going to figure it out, and somehow we're going to get the Avengers together. Marvel figured it out. They figured it out as soon as they got to the Avengers where they were going with this whole thing. DC has no idea where they're going. They're just playing catch up. And that's what sucks about this, because they're sacrificing so many good quality shows in the name of just trying to catch up to everyone else. And that's frustrating, it's annoying. And as the creator of Infinity Train said, I wish we would have made this show 20 years ago so that there'd be a nostalgia for Infinity Train so they could keep making Infinity Train. Alright, that's it. I'll finish this fan art and I'll post it up on my social media. If you want to check out my artwork, just go to @LCLX25 on Twitter and Instagram. You'll find me there. Link to my Patreon if you want to suggest any fan art, vote on fan art in the future, have end of video shout outs, or any requests for digital commissions or commissions in general, where I'll draw something, I'll scan it, I'll send it to you, print it out however you'd like, stuff like that. And behind the scenes on the manga that I'm working on right now, I'm working on a few different ones actually, and it's definitely really challenging, but whatever. Sayonara.